It's time for the Chips and Salsa Show.
The only show about Latinos for Latinos. And did we mention Latinos?
It's the Latísima.
Latinos come in all flavors, shapes, and sizes. You don't have to be Latino to enjoy chips and salsa.
People love chips and salsa.
What is up, everybody? Zeke Rodriguez here with Alice Lara.
Hola.
And the Chips and Salsa Show, New Mexico. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are here at Oregon Mountain Studios. Thank you guys so much here at Oregon Mountain. Such a beautiful studio, such an amazing opportunity to be here and share conservative news with New Mexicans and everyone else alike. It's going to be on YouTube, it's going to be on Rumble. We're really excited to be here today. We got a lot to talk about. We actually have Henry Young, the Doñana Republican Party chair, coming in here in a little bit. But before we get started with that, we wanted to open up with some quick national news, and I think Alice Lara wants to chime in on some new surveys, some new stuff going on. What's going on with all that, Alice?
I certainly do, Mr. Zeke Rodriguez. Absolutely. And yes, isn't it great we're in an actual studio? And also kudos to Haley, who is Mr. Garza's wife, and she's doing some camera work. So thank you very much. She's doing a great job. Yeah, so I was watching, I think it was what show was it? Dick Morris. And they were talking about the latest polls for the last couple of months. You talk about a Latino angle here. It shows that Trump is at 48%, Biden's 41% among the Latino vote. And that's super significant because, correct me if I'm wrong, Zeke, but I think the last time Trump didn't even have like half of that. It was less than half of the Latino vote.
Yeah.
But I really think that that's something for us to pay attention to because we just really kind of start, here we go, this is the election year. And I thought that was super, super significant. And to me, a lot of times when I watch those polls, they're not always super accurate, I understand that, but I think it might actually be even higher. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally think it's probably a lot higher. It's going to get a lot higher, and this show kind of embodies that. I mean, you could say Latino, Hispanic, whatever, people from this demographic are really supporting Trump right now, and he got the black vote too. He's dominating the black vote as well. So he's got the young Hispanic vote, Latino vote, right? That's what you're saying?
Yes,
he's got the Latino vote as well. And then not too long ago, I know he started dominating the black vote as well. So it's like, man, every marker that you can think of to win an election, he's like starting to dominate. And
what's really cool is among millennials and like you say, the younger vote. You see, like just the other day, I don't know what the name of these guys were, but somebody sent me a video, and it was these two Latino guys, and they were doing a rap about this, and they had a MAGA hat on and everything. And then you've seen all those reactor videos that they have on YouTube and whatever. And these guys are like, because they're listening, they're paying attention. I do not like to use the term woke, so they're awake, whatever, they've awakened, and they're seeing that it's really a conservative thing they need to be paying attention to.
Yeah, and I think it's mostly just a gravitation towards authenticity. The youth really likes authentic voices out there because, especially the youth, I'm kind of in the middle, I'm in the middle between the Gen Z and the baby boomers. I'm a millennial, but we've been inundated with inauthentic voices for so long that when you get someone like Trump that's sitting up there shooting it straight, people just gravitate towards it. And I think the youth is going that. I mean, even to this day, anytime I put a post Trump up just the other day on Saturday, freaking almost went viral. People love it.
Wow, that's great. And your opinion is especially important to me as a boomer because I feel like the boomers, we've just been around a longer time. So we've seen some of the history and know some of the shenanigans and stuff that come up. Yeah. So I really pay attention to the millennials, because what they are thinking, you're just like, right now is when you're finally getting time. You've been working hard, trying to make a living, and a lot of you still are. Some of us are already retired. So it's hard to pay attention and keep your life going. And that's another function that our show does, because you can tune in. What are we going to have this probably up on Tuesday mornings, I think? And you can tune in and hopefully, even if you listen to the first 15, 20 minutes and go back later and listen to the whole thing, you're going to get a lot of good information that's relevant to you.
Yeah, that's the point, guys. We're trying to shortcut you guys right to it. Everybody's trying to make a living right now, so I'm obsessed with watching the news. I watch about 2 to 3 hours a day. Alice does the same thing, so we're just trying to narrow that down, shortcut it so you guys can get right to the chase. Speaking of cutting to the chase, another big news, because our guest just walked in. We want to cover one last topic before we get Mr. Young on here. The chairman of the Republican Party is here. The Epstein list. Everybody's talking about the Epstein list. What do you think about that, Alice?
Man, so, it's hard to keep up with everything. It really is. But one thing that happened is, I believe it was Tucker who interviewed Epstein's brother, right?
Oh, yeah.
You saw that?
That's right.
And the brother would not be on camera, but the brother does not believe that he was killed. And in fact, I think I even saw something where now there's the rumor, the conspiracy, whatever you want to call it, that maybe the guy isn't even dead. I mean, it's crazy. So as far as the list, it's very, very interesting. You know, for a long time they say, oh, they're going to release the list. Okay, we're just going to release a little bit. Okay, then we're going to redact these people and whatever. I think that it's something to watch, but at the same time, there's so many other things going on that I don't know that anything or anyone being on that list would necessarily surprise me. But it is something to pay attention to, but my focus is not big time on that. Do you think I'm wrong?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's all the Democrat leaders: John Podesta, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Obama. I mean, those are the top leaders of the Democrat
I'm not
Party.
saying that it's not important to listen to because, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. Like you're listing all these people.
Oh yeah, so you're not surprised by it. And you wouldn't be, because you've been abreast with this stuff. I think a lot of people were surprised about that. I talked to some people over the weekend and they were like, man, I can't believe how big that list is. I can't believe, like, Stephen Hawking was on there, you know, like crazy people you would never expect.
Is your name on the list?
No, I don't think there's any Hispanics, so I don't know Latinos on there. They don't represent us
Oh,
anywhere.
there you go.
They didn't even
There
invite
you
us on the
go.
freaking island of sin.
Epsteino, what's going on?
Maybe if
Is
I
it?
sold out, but you know, and I wouldn't do that. But either way, how do you pass up a free freaking jet ride to the freaking islands, man?
Yeah.
That's a hard no. But you know, so look, a lot of arguments are coming out that blows my mind. It's like, well, just because they were on the plane doesn't mean that they were engaging in anything. I'm like, really? Oh, Taylor Swift was involved as well. You know, and it's like, look, if you were on that plane, you knew what the hell was going on for the most part. You should have been saying something. So I think anybody who's affiliated with it is someone that we should really definitely investigate and see what their voting record was if they're a politician, and just see what their history was as a human being, because we all know what was going on over there. We all know what he was into, and it's a lot bigger than just American politics. It's global stuff going on there with Epstein, with Mossad. What else is there? The English, the CIA was involved, so big stuff coming out. And the funny thing is Trump came out and said earlier too, I think it was a couple of days ago, that this is just the beginning. They're going to be dropping way more stuff that are way more intense than this Epstein list in the very near future. So he was all smiles on New Year's Eve apparently. Where Roger Stone was hanging out with him, and he was all smiles and a great mood because apparently they're going to be dropping way more crazy stuff, which is crazy.
I want to ask you because there is a New Mexico connection, right? Didn't he have some land up north or something?
Yeah, Zorro Ranch, Bill Richardson. Bill Richardson was involved. He was named on that list as well. Great point.
You know, I mean, it's an interesting thing, and you're very good about keeping up with that stuff. So I'm going to rely on you for it. It's just, I'm really curious about the brother. The fact that at this time the brother actually came and interviewed. You know, where has he been? Where has he been? Why did he decide all of a sudden to make himself? I mean, he won't show his face. He goes, well, I'm recognizable, and I understand that. And what's really cool about it too, the fact that Tucker did it, and I think the best thing that ever happened to Tucker is for him to get fired.
Yeah.
Because now we get the best of Tucker, don't we?
Yeah, he's killing it. I mean, just the other day he had Brett Weinstein on. Yesterday he had Brett Weinstein on, and he dropped all kinds of knowledge as far as COVID vaccines are concerned. We're gonna Jabberwockies.
You said the C word.
The Jabberwockies. And that was a very interesting interview. But the main thing is, guys, is like there's so much stuff coming out, and I am abreast with it. I'm pretty obsessed with it. And in their defense, in everyone's defense, I don't know who the hell to trust. I mean, every single day, something new, something crazy. We had stuff going on in Florida the other day with freaking Yetis going around and Project Bluebeam. Who knows what the... My friend filmed a freaking spaceship here in Cruces the other day. I mean, it's getting crazy, and it's just barely 2 weeks in. We're barely two weeks in.
Project Blue, what is it?
Project Bluebeam is apparently, and I haven't studied this extensively as I'd like to, but it's basically a way to distract the mass populations with like hologram technology where they can project. And I've seen videos of it where they put like huge human beings or huge like spaceships in the sky in China, and it looks like a legit giant person or like a legit spaceship. Your discernment, your eyes can only tell you so much. It looks like if people who are like so ignorant these days, and we know most people are ignorant. If you're tuning into us, you're not ignorant, you're badass. But most everyone else doesn't know, freaking have a clue what's going on. If you throw a spaceship up over your city like Independence Day style, you best believe people would be freaking driving into the store, you know, running into each other, ransacking their freaking neighborhoods. So that's the idea between Project Bluebeam, and that would make sense because they're trying to cover up this Epstein list thing. Like, hey, forget about that. Let's go look at the spaceships in the sky, and let's look at the Yetis. I know there's like a Yeti in Florida.
Like
and so
squirrel,
it's
pay attention over here.
Squirrel. It's basically just a way to distract the populations, and alien invasion is actually in government documents as a way to distract the population. That's government documents.
So Zeke, are you talking kind of like it would be a big hologram?
Yeah,
like a giant hologram.
Massive hologram. Yep, it's a hologram technology.
Wow.
That you can just basically fool a bunch of people with massive amounts of people.
You can't even keep up with it, can you? My God.
It goes deep. It goes deep. I mean, I have a life too, guys, and I study politics and stuff. But there's only so much. I run into people every day. They're like, "Hey, bro," like the other day, somebody yesterday was like, "Hey, Trump's related to Hillary Clinton." And I'm like, "Really?" I never heard of that humdinger. But that's just the kind of stuff I deal with.
I love that. I hadn't heard that rumor
like they're
yet.
like 18th cousins or something. I don't know. They don't look the
Wow.
same. I know Trump looks like Patton. But that's about all I'll give them there. So that's what's going on with that, guys. So to recap real quick, Latino votes way up, the young youth votes way up for Mr. Trump. He owned the black vote months ago, like a year ago. I think he took the black vote. So Trump's looking real strong. Do I think they're going to let him and Biden run in the next election? Probably not. And I probably shouldn't say that, but man, they really don't like Trump.
Well, I'm going to write that prediction down.
They really don't like Trump, and Biden's not playing ball. So I just have a hard time seeing the establishment let either of them get into the office. So that being said,
wow, they will do everything for that. Before we introduce our wonderful guest,
please,
Henry Young,
yeah.
I just want to make sure that you guys know we're in this great new studio. We're so excited to be here for 2024. And if you wanted to contact and do something like this, please, you can email. I've got their fine email, which is Oregon Mountain Productions. Did I have that correct? Oregon Mountain Productions @gmail.com. It's very centrally located. You've got some great staff, and if you have any idea or just want to call them and find out, what it might cost you or what it might do, please give them a call. And shout out to you guys. You're doing a great job.
Big
Thanks
shout
so
out
much.
to Oregon Mountain Studios. Thank you guys so much for having us. So without further ado, Mr. Henry Young from the Doniana Republican Party.
Henry, we thank you so much for being with us today. What we wanted to do is have him on because this, as you know, is a big, giant 2024 election year. And Henry Young is our Doniana County, as Zeke was saying, our Republican chairman. And I've always been so impressed with Henry because when I first got here, being from Arizona, I knew a lot about Arizona politics, but not too much about process with New Mexico. So I found out, once you hit a lot of people, Zeke and Henry, these two guys knew more about process than I could find out from anyone. So I really appreciate all that. So let's see. What shall we start with? I know we've got some big events coming up that we want to ask you about. What do you think, Zeke? Start with that?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for spearheading the Republican Party at Doniana. We really needed someone to take the bull by the horns and get us ready for this 2024 election. And Mr. Young here stepped up to the plate and is doing a great job so far. So we're very honored and pleased for you to be here and share us this deep knowledge. This is more technical stuff here, guys. So if you want to get involved in politics, this is the show you want to tune into because Henry is very well versed, very knowledgeable, very connected here in Las Cruces. So if this is what you want to get involved with, this is the guy you want to listen to. Go ahead though, Alice. You had some questions?
Yes. So we have an event coming up, getting ready for election year, and involves delegates and all that good stuff. It's kind of technical, but maybe just if you could real basically explain to our audience, because most people that watch us are very concerned about conservative politics, Republican politics, and want to figure out what's going on and just explain the process without getting too deep in the woods, maybe?
Yeah, we'll stay out of the weeds.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
But basically, in 2024, we have two very important conventions that the Republican Party goes through every election cycle. We've actually got three total, but 2024, all of the even years, we're going to have more conventions than we do on the odd years. And this year we have two. The first is the pre-primary, which Alice was alluding to as far as electing delegates from each county who then are invited to go to the state pre-primary convention. And what they're actually doing at that point is casting a vote for their favorite people who are already running for positions as state representatives, state senators, any state election, whether that's, in some years it's the Attorney General, some years it's Secretary of State, just all of those state level positions as well as federal. For instance, our federal representative candidate is already garnering not votes, but
Support.
she's getting her registration filled out where they can say, I'm a registered Republican in Doña Ana County, and I want to sign for Yvette Harrell as the next representative for New Mexico District 2. So that is going on at the same time. And we will be casting those votes, those delegates that are elected. There's 58 positions in Doña Ana County. Our calendar has set January 27th as our convention date. Before we have that convention, we have to have ward caucuses, and it's broken down out of that 58. We have a certain number of delegates for each ward, depending on how many votes were cast for the governor, the Republican governor nominee in the last election. So it goes from the lowest is 4 delegates for a ward, and we have one large county where there are 11 delegates. But when you add them all up, total will be 58.
Okay, so let's walk back here. So we're going to have our ward caucus to determine our delegates, and that's coming up on the 27th.
No, the 27th is the actual convention. But before we get to that,
Okay,
it's broken down into the caucuses that will be held 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
okay,
We have 8 wards that have delegates.
okay.
So we'll do 2 each night.
And then we do the pre-primary convention, and where does that transpire? Is that here in Las Cruces, or that's up there at Santa Fe?
No, that is here.
That's here as well.
And that's
okay.
going to be at the Telshore Centerport 10. I think it's 700.
Wonderful.
Anyway, everyone knows where Centerport 10
Centerport
is.
10. Are you Las Cruces, Centerport 10? So, okay, so go back one more time. We have our ward caucus, which we determine our delegates. Where is that going down at?
That will be at the Las Cruces Gospel Rescue Mission.
Gospel Rescue Mission.
Each night, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th,
Okay.
Monday through Thursday, at the mission, and each ward chair, and if we don't have a ward chair there, then someone else will do it. I'll be there every night except the 25th.
Okay.
And Henry, only the committee members can attend those if you're in that ward.
No, ma'am. Delegates have,
The
they
caucus,
already
I'm talking about
have,
the caucuses for the 2
yeah,
wards.
for the caucuses, anyone that is a registered Republican in Doña Ana County for a period of 6 months and 1 day is eligible to be a delegate.
That's a
They
big one,
do
guys.
not have to be a Central Committee member.
That's a big one, guys. So if you're a registered Republican, he said it right here, you can show up and you can participate and engage with the delegates that will be representing you at the pre-primary convention, correct? Which would be held at the Centerport 10 on
Correct.
the 27th. And then from the pre-primary convention at the 27th at Centerport 10, we elect delegates from that point? Or who are we electing at that
Those
point?
are those delegates that were already put forth by the caucuses
okay.
are confirmed at the convention.
Oh, okay.
Then they have to pay their money to go, and if they can't go, they have to have a proxy.
Okay.
Now, just to be clear though, so my ward and another ward have our caucus. And that when we have our caucus, any registered Republican within that ward can attend that caucus
Yes,
Right,
and they
and
can
vote.
become a delegate.
and they can vote
okay.
also.
They can be a delegate also.
It's a fun time. I've done a few of these before. It's a fun time. Show up if you can, please. If you're registered Republican, within 6 months, you got to be registered Republican for at least 6 months.
6 months
And
and
one
1
day.
day.
And one.
Don't forget
freaking
that day.
So there you go, guys. That's how you get involved with the Republican Party 101. This is important stuff. You're going to meet all the movers and shakers in the local Republican Party, and then if you become a delegate, you're going to be heading up to Santa Fe with the pre-primary convention, or what's that called?
Correct.
That's a pre-primary convention.
That's the state pre-primary convention. Can't talk today.
It's okay. We got you.
It's a new year. And then also, when, let's say that my neighbor decides, okay, I'm going to go to the caucus in the ward. Will someone be there and they verify that the fact that they are Republican registered?
That is true. Now,
Excellent.
for the caucus, I'm not as worried about people showing up that are not Republicans, but we will still have a check-in. They will be vetted. They can have guests at the caucus.
Cool.
At the convention, we're not going to,
Okay.
well, my meeting's tonight, so this is not a done deal until we have our special rules set up tonight at a meeting. But I'm going to put forth that we have no guests there so that there won't be anyone trying to slide in that's a closet Democrat and get their name on there to throw everything in.
Voter integrity, Henry. I love
Voter
it.
integrity.
Damn closet Democrats. Gotta watch out for them. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for breaking that down. I've been involved in the Republican Party for quite some time, since 2017, and I still have a hard time ironing that out. But now that you explained that to me so well, sir, I have it all ironed out in my head, and I will be there. I'll be up in Santa Fe the 25th, so I'll miss the 25th.
So will I. You know what we're there for.
Yeah, we'll be there hanging out. Yep.
Yeah.
So is this is there anything new about this process? Is that how it's always been in the past?
It has been. We've had 3 conventions per year for decades.
Mm-hmm. All right.
The next one, which is just a month or so later, is the quadrennial convention. But I won't go into that right now. We've got time for the quadrennial, which means once every 4 years.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll have you back when it's getting closer to that time,
Yes.
so we can understand that.
Now, can I backtrack?
You can backtrack all you want.
I was laughing a while ago at some of the stuff that you guys brought out.
Is that good or bad?
That's the point.
Well, I hope it didn't get picked up, but
Nah.
maybe
Our
a little
studio
laughing
audience?
in the back.
Audience
Yeah,
You're our
there you
studio
go.
audience.
But talking about conspiracy theories and this and that, it made me, and you millennials, don't get mad at me, but that was a totally different generation, and the millennials think differently than us boomers do. Look at the statistics. Baby boomers get a job, they keep a job.
Oh, yeah. Where you gotta stand.
Millennials get a job, change every time they change clothes, I think.
Well, a lot of that's on
And-
the economy, too, man.
Well,
You guys had a way more stable
yes and
economy.
no. Here's why I say no. Did we ever have a transfer portal for college students when it was the boomers that were in college? No, we didn't.
Transfer portal? What do you mean?
For sports, where they can jump from one school to another school
Oh.
every year and still be eligible
I
under
don't agree with that.
NCAA rules.
I don't like that.
There you go, though. That's the millennial generation. They never stay involved in anything longer than their mind is on it.
And you know, it's gotten worse, too. And a lot of that's social media, man. I mean, TikTok's videos down. I think they're down to like 6-second videos. Anytime they make the video rules, the video reels down, the shorter they make them, the less the attention span is for the people who watch them.
That's true.
So right now, human beings, especially if you engage in social media, your attention span is that of a goldfish. Goldfish literally have attention spans of about 5-6 seconds. So we literally have an attention span of goldfish right now. So you have a lot of what you're saying is true. Although there are some millennials, some badasses like the Organ Mountain Studio owners here and runners and myself. So don't throw us all under the bus. But yeah, I totally agree. The work ethic is something that's. I was talking to another gentleman at the cigar lounge earlier, and you know, the work ethic of the millennials and the Gen Zers is just—it's brutal, and that's something you really can't teach. You know, so it really concerns me about the future of our generations because a lot of people don't want to work. A lot of people don't want to do anything. They're used to bouncing back and forth or getting paid and quitting, whatever. Whereas you guys just work your freaking asses off. I mean, my dad he's one of those guys straight up. I used to walk to school in the snow, you know, freaking.
Uphill both ways.
And that's just how you guys were. You guys had it a lot more rough, and it speaks to your character, and it speaks to your reliability and your work ethic. So I don't know what we're going to do to harden up the younger generations, guys.
I don't know either, man. But and I do agree with you. You're so right. You know, in millennials, we also have landlines. So, I mean, it's a whole different
Just
generation.
hearing that is funny.
But
Oh, it is.
but that's why I love doing the show with Zeke, because the millennial with the boomer. I mean, there's so many things and the changes, and I think too we have to find a way to kind of bridge that gap, because the boomers need the millennials and the millennials need the boomers.
100%.
I know we have, you know, the generations in between too, but I feel like the millennials, you're at that age now where you're more open to learning. You have a little bit more wisdom than a super younger generation.
True.
And you know, somebody made this really smart remark to my boss one time, and my boss in Arizona is super smart politically and otherwise. And he said, well, you know, your boss may be smarter than me, but I've been around a long time, so I have more wisdom. And so he was saying, he goes, okay, you might be, you know, more intelligent in that respect, but the value of experience and wisdom, that's just a benefit that we have just because we've been around longer. So
Yeah, wisdom's huge. I mean, I studied philosophy, you know, a lot, and I was big time into Plato's scholar essentially. And one of his big things was wisdom. You can't, and experience. You can be as high IQ as you want, but until you get that experience, until you experience life for what it really is, you really can't acquire wisdom. And so, yeah, I mean, now that I am about to hit 40, I'm 38, the experience is huge. I mean, you know, for the younger generations, I would say this, like, if you're 25 and under, male or female, you should just be a freaking robot and learning as much as you can. You don't really think much. Just find someone that you can learn from and follow, and just learn. I wish someone told me that when I was their age. Because you get full of a lot of ego when you're that young, and you want to be good at things right away. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get any abilities or any skills until you're later in your life. It takes time to get those skills and those abilities. And the best thing you can do is learn from someone who's been there before, who knows more than you. So that's just your food for thought. Hey, here we are preaching to the youngsters.
Yeah.
You know?
And we kind of had that issue too, everybody's when they're young. But you know, what we also want to talk to you about, Henry, is the plan for the county. Unfortunately, you know, it's going to be tough politically, the Republican Party, you know, and I think it's because all of us are very opinionated as Republicans and conservatives. We do, and especially if you follow politics a long time. It's, you know, you end up fighting with your own brother and sister, and that's okay, because that can be valuable. But give us maybe a guideline, or what's going on? You got some plans? Are we still making them? What's going on with the party?
Well, let me, and if you don't mind, I'll just ramble for a while.
No, please. Stage is yours,
But
sir.
what we are doing here this year, this is the last of the 2-year cycle for this group of officers of the local party. The first year is basically a slow year. That's when you should have all of your organizing meetings, get the ball rolling, and set up for either the gubernatorial or the presidential election year that will follow, depending on which cycle you're in. So the officers are only in there for 2 years. And what we are trying to do now, because I've only been really in charge, the election was in September, the middle of September, but we couldn't really do anything until October. And that was a little bit of reorganization. We couldn't even do anything about the local election because those candidates were already in place. And that was something that couldn't be changed. So I didn't try to, but I did try to go out and help all of those candidates that were running.
And you did.
And yeah, I walked with some of them. Mm-hmm. And the thing that impressed me was no one gave up, no one backed down, stepped away from walking and doing the things that they should. And we came within a very small window of votes of not only getting a conservative Democrat in as mayor, but also an independent as a city councilman who, when he was mayor of the city, was a Republican, and then also in school board, within just a few votes of garnering one position, and the other was a little wider, but if we had only had one candidate in each of those school board races, we would have had 2 wins in school board. It was possible. That shows me the trend is already in motion. The tide is turning. You've already mentioned that while I was sitting out there, that things seem to be turning around very rapidly right now.
Yeah, guys, that's why it's so important. And I'll pick your brain on this a little bit, but that's why it's so important to get involved right here, right now, guys. We're so close, and we're barely even trying. He just got in there, and he valiant effort at the end. But if we had some organization and we had some people like you guys getting involved early on, we would have won some elections. It's that quick. And I was talking about this on my podcast earlier. Shout out to myself. You can get distracted with national and state politics really quick, but the real power in politics is your local community, is your local politics. That's where you really start to change everything around you. So everything this man is saying is super powerful, and he tells you right there, he got in there a little late, and he still had enough momentum to barely miss it. So if you guys get involved, man, it's game over.
It's so powerful what you say, because in my own district, it was Julia Reese. And she lost, I think, like by 140 votes.
446,
Yeah.
something like that.
Which, we walk the neighborhoods and you just think, okay, if we only had like 10 more people that could have got 3 or 4 more votes or something like that. I mean, it's powerful exponentially. I really think it's winnable. And it gives me hope, because moving from Arizona, and Arizona's having its own problems too, but, it'd be great to make this a more red state, at least be a little bit more red. And I'm very encouraged, and kudos to you and to the executive team and to the Republicans that are active and really tried. I mean, I think there was a very, very strong effort to do that.
Now, let me approach the next subject, which is trying to get everyone on the same page. Mm-hmm. This is actually, I've got 11 and a half months left on this cycle before the next election of officers. Well, what we want to try to do in this year, and for those of you that are out there that are Republicans that have been to some of our CCC meetings, which is County Central Commission meetings, those people need to all come together as one. This is where we show our independent thinking. We are not walking in lockstep like the Democrats. And really, when you get down to it, they aren't either, because they have fights in the back room. But when it comes out at the public level, they're all on the same page. And they say, we're going to walk in lockstep. We're, as independent thinkers, as Republicans, we don't think we have to do that. We can voice our opinion. And if we don't like this candidate, I'm not going to vote for them, even if they are a Republican. Well, that's the wrong thinking. We need to turn the tide. We need to come together. Now, I'm not saying I'm trying to be a dictator, but here's...
You say be a dick. Fine. Censorship here. But go ahead.
When I come down to it, here's what I want to see us do. We've got to build some training into the officers that will be around for the next 2 to 6 years. How do we do that? We get those who have been here, put in the work, have earned the right to be officers, will run for offices, and we keep the continuity of the ones who have been trained. I'm not saying I want to stick around for another 2 years. I haven't decided whether I'm going to run next year or not. If I do, then we'll try to get some new blood in one of those positions. Second vice chair, something like that. We'll train them in everything that is done here. As Alice said, she's been a Republican, but it was a different state, so this is a whole new ball of wax. So you have to get introduced into what's going on and the state rules that are here to understand, well, how can I help? If you come in and you don't know what you're doing, you're sitting there scratching your head. Hey, I'm second vice chair. I don't know what to do. We have to have that continuity. So we're saying the person that is going to go off the officer list after 1 or 2 terms, then someone's in the wings that knows what to do next, and we'll see if they will run and be elected for that position, so that we'll have a fighting chance rather than fumbling in the dark for 8 months before we do anything.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. And I think the moral of that lesson really is, guys, is to get involved, because now it's at a point where this is where it should be, is you're not going to be even considered to be on the executive board unless we've seen you out there. I've been out there. She's been out there. He's been out there. He's seen me out there. I've seen. Unless we've seen you out there, you really got no business trying to run for an executive position for the Republican Party, and that's rightfully so. Because how do we know that you have credibility to actually get the job done, that you have the work ethic to get the job done, and you have the relationship skills and the network to get the job done? Because this is not an easy job. What this man does is not easy. This guy gets beat up all the time. I see it. I hear about it all the time. I back him up. I respect him. But people who aren't even that involved are giving him a hard time. It's like, dude, you don't even have a place to talk. You know what I mean? So thank you for clearing that up for us, man.
I've got broad shoulders, though.
He can take it.
I can take it since I work with the homeless on a day-to-day situation as director of the Gospel Rescue Mission. So this is nothing new to me. And, you know, our Republican people are not nearly as bad as some of those guys out there on the street.
Hey, at least it's not that bad. You're not that bad, Republicans. Good job.
But that's another thing I'd like to talk about. The Republican Party is going to have more of a voice in our local government. I already know that. And we are going to be able to help, not try to dictate, but be a working member of the efforts of our newly elected officials, in step, we hope, with the surviving 5 progressives that are still on council. They aren't going to go along with everything, but I think public pressure will dictate to many of them, because a lot of those people now next year will be coming up for re-election. The 2 Beckys will be up for re-election, I believe. Anyway, there's probably 3. I think there were 2. Were there 2 or 3 that were just elected?
It was 3,
I think.
2 of which were conservative leaning.
So it's 3 and 3.
Yeah.
So there will be 3 up for re-election next year. And that will be an important year that could turn the tide in our direction. And we need it. But I think that with some of that pressure, and also at the state level.
Henry, before you go on to the state level, I just want to show you appreciation, because the group that he also is going to partner with, if I can use that strong a term, is the CCIA, the Coalition of Conservatives in Action, led by Juan Garcia, who is the chairman. And while they, anybody can go to their meeting on Thursday night, 6 p.m. at Kitchen Craft, but predominantly they are conservative and Republican. And it's a really good, they're also a force, we are, I should say, because both Zeke and I, you are a member too, are a force to be reckoned with. But that it's smart to do that. Because they're very involved with the local politics, and they go and have speakers. And it's just exciting, and it can turn the tide. So I appreciate the recognition. Now, it's not, you're not signing off. They don't endorse Republican candidates, stuff like that. There's a dividing line there. But just, we have to partner with every good force that we can. And thank you for acknowledging that.
Well, we have to. Look at the Democrats. Every councilman that we had on last year's city council came up through a sister organization who is an aggressive political action group, whether they call themselves that or not, and that's CAFE. And they, over the years, have trained their people and said, now, here's what you do. We've trained you on how to do things. Now, go out and get yourself assigned to one of these boards with the city or the county, and in a few years, then you run and you'll be elected. That's how they got their voice on the city council over the years.
It's a good strategy.
And that's a problem, because CAFE is out-of-state money, by and large. It's, if I'm not mistaken, Planned Parenthood money as well.
Oh, a lot of different areas from which the money comes.
Right.
And now, this year, they're jumping on a new name.
Oh, cool, rebrand.
Is that right?
Oh, yes. I'm not going to say what it is right now, but we will reveal it later.
Okay.
Because they're going to be focusing on hot topics. And it's sort of a rebranding, but it's really just bringing up new issues. So with not new issues, but making these the primary issues. And when you have those primary issues, you need a new name that's going to grab the attention of the public.
Well, I wonder if the hot topic's going to involve Epstein's list. That's a hot topic right now. Hopefully they get into that.
It will encompass women's rights,
Okay,
things of that nature. So,
fair enough.
Be on the lookout, huh?
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
and it's already being revealed. 2 of our councilwomen are already part of it.
Wow.
So, real quick too, I'm going to volunteer to be a precinct captain because I
Okay,
think that,
good.
and so is Alice, because I feel like for me that's something I can be good at because I like knocking doors. I like talking to my neighbors. I want to go in there and recruit sound Republicans that can participate and that are going to be on board with what we're trying to do. Transparency with the executive board, participation, good participation Republicans. How does that play into your plan, sir?
That's where we have to start as grassroots, but I thought you wanted to be the ward chair.
Well, I think the ward chair is already taken. Oh, I found out.
No.
I just moved, and I found out the ward chair is Rochelle's husband.
No, not for you.
Not for 35.
I thought you said you were in 38.
They checked. I'm 35.
Oh,
So there's already a ward.
he was wrong.
I was wrong. It was my fault. So there's already a ward.
Yes,
chair.
there is.
There's already a ward chair, but so then I can still be a precinct captain, right?
Sure.
Okay. So,
And you can volunteer to do that even if but we will have a meeting concerning precinct captains. I'll tell you, precinct captains have never worked. We have always pushed for that, especially years ago. Show you how far back we go. In the '94 election, when Republicans really made inroads, there was a big push here to have every ward chair full. And the ward chairs were to elect or select precinct captains and say, look, this is a tiny area, 1-2 blocks. Get out there, find some neighbors to help you and blitz the area. Do it once a month. And we saw what happened back in '94. So it can happen again.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of a trend. It picks up momentum and then it peters out.
Yes.
Okay.
And the Tea Party tried to reinvent that.
That was like late 90s. Tea
Yeah.
Party was late 90s.
Yeah.
Henry, explain a precinct captain. I was a precinct captain when I lived in Phoenix as well.
Uh-huh.
And the cool thing for me is I lived in an HOA. And so pretty much it was all right there. And it was, we would do many local things. So like when election time came around, I could invite everybody to my house. And because they knew that, we knew the candidates, we'd have the candidates over. It was just a very, very cool thing. But explain for the benefit of those who may not really know what a precinct captain is.
Okay, first let me explain HOA for those that live in the barrios. Homeowners Association. And
Thank you.
that's what I call upscale living.
Right.
All
We
that
had a
really,
gate, that's what it was.
yeah, gated
We were-
community.
Okay, Joey knows because he lived in Phoenix. We were gated in the ghetto, South Mountain.
Oh, it was a ghetto?
We were gated in the ghettos, new homes, but we were gated in the ghetto. We used to joke.
All
Now
right.
it's very, very nice. But anyway,
So anyway, I had to throw that. I like to tease and joke. But what a precinct captain does, we're just taking the ward area, which is the same as the legislative representative district for the area.
There's 8 of those, right?
There are 8 in Doñana County,
Thank you.
and 2 of them have very small pieces of Doñana County. So it's basically 6 with 38 having just a little piece of it, 32 having virtually nothing. There were, in the last gubernatorial election, District 32 in Doñana County only had 100 and some odd registered voters. And we have none at this point that have stepped up and say they want to be part of what's going on. So the precinct, as I said, it depends on the concentration of the population within that ward, and then you're breaking it down into precincts. For instance, in just my area alone, I can walk in 5 minutes to 3 different precincts and mine is 46, and I have 45 and 47 that are adjacent. I live just between Missouri and Montana, and if I go up by Lynn Junior High or Lynn Community School, that's the proper term now, that's 47, and that's not that far away. And 44 is very near me too. So it's not a big area. I could walk all of 46 in probably 2 hours if I was hitting every door.
Right, and that's why I like the idea, because it's such an intimate, platform for Republicans, and it's doable, it's walkable, and I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to try to bring that spirit, that mid-'90s spirit. That's when Larry Sheffield was chair in '95, wasn't he?
That's about right.
Right. Yeah, shout out to Larry Sheffield, a good colleague of mine, and he was the Republican Party chair at that time. And
guess where he moved?
Alamogordo?
Arizona.
Oh, well, he's in Arizona now. He's from Alamogordo, but yeah. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be doing precinct captain. I'll be doing walking doors. Hopefully, gain some momentum. We could all participate and bring people together that way, and support Mr. Young with his plans as well.
Excellent.
So, what else? Or are we out of time?
We can talk about some.
How are we doing on
aliens.
time? Okay, we still got a few minutes.
We got a few minutes left, so hey, we got a presidential election coming up. Things are getting crazy. You got an idea? Go ahead.
What you were talking about earlier while I was still over there,
Yeah.
You were asking about Trump's chances of being on the ballot. Colorado Attorney General just affirmed his name would be on the ballot.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
that's great news.
Right.
That's good news.
So that's a good sign too.
So there's a couple of other states still out there, but they know that it's on its way to the Supreme Court.
Right.
And some of them say, hey, we don't want to mess with that. Let's backtrack now. And I think that's what Colorado just did.
I will say, I like seeing backtrack. That's a good sign to me. Anytime they backtrack, that's a good sign.
That's true, because they are relentless. You're right. I want to ask you, Henry, I heard a rumor, something about maybe that kind of campaign coming into New Mexico. Have you heard anything more on that?
About trying to get his
Get him
name
off
off.
the ballot?
If MLG had her way, I don't think there would be a single Republican on the ballot.
We would be the United Nations of New Mexico, is what we would be right now if she had her way.
But we're also, I think, and I haven't seen any results, but the lawsuit by the Republican Party that just went this morning to the Supreme Court of New Mexico concerning the governor and the Department of Health on the Second Amendment rights, that was heard this morning, but I haven't heard a result of what happened.
That's a big one too, because they're doing a big gun grab. They just had a gun buyback recently with decent success. But it's like, look, the line between Mexico and America is wide open. We've got the worst criminals coming over here that you could ever imagine, and they're trying to take our guns away at the same time. I mean, come on, people. Well, that tells you everything right there. I mean, if I was governor, or if any common sense person was governor, it'd be like, look, you guys got to start arming yourselves to the teeth. Legally, if you have a felony, you can have a gun. But it's your Second Amendment right, and we got people coming over here that don't have our interests at heart. We should be armed to the teeth, protect our family, protect our property, protect our constitutional rights.
I'm glad you brought up the border because...
I didn't say border.
Well, I thought you had mentioned
Immigration.
The line that separates America and Mexico.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Pardon me. But what I want to ask you, it's still the case, right, in New Mexico that if you are not of this country, you can get a driver's license. Is that still the case, right?
They can.
Dang, really?
They can.
I didn't even know that. Jeez, really?
So I can...
In fact, I won't name names, but I can tell you where they can go to get them.
You got the hookup. He's got the hookup too.
And then once they get them, I worry about a lot of things. And the other thing that I don't like here is when you show up to vote, you don't have to show ID. I give them my name and they ask me, is this your address? Okay, sign. And that's about it.
Yes, but here's the thing that purposefully gets overlooked. That's why it is so important. And here I can put in a personal plug for a great candidate for county clerk. Even if it does happen to be my wife, Cheryl, and she's
awesome.
using her middle name. My name's not DeYoung, but her middle name is D-E. She says de because it is French.
Oh.
And she is running with her full name, Cheryl DeYoung, for county clerk. If she is in office, they will have to mandatorily, every clerk, when they're registering someone, because you do have to show proof by showing a license when you get registered.
Mm-hmm.
So if it has the yellow star, they can legally be registered. If it doesn't have the yellow star on the driver's license, that means they have not shown proof of citizenship,
Okay.
and they wouldn't be allowed to register.
That would change a lot of things, right?
But right now, I think no one's even looking for that yellow
That's what
star.
I worry about.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was put in for that very purpose, so that, hey, we want these people to vote. This is the way we do it. And
I love it.
And we will have Cheryl on, because that's one of the goals of our program too, is to have the candidates
Candidates,
on and talk
yeah.
to them and get get information about
even
them.
if you're tuning in from Arizona or Albuquerque, guys, the way in which that we do things here in Las Cruces, in Doñana, and in New Mexico, which is arguably the worst state in the country, but still to understand on a grassroots level
California.
how things work is important for wherever you are, be it Albuquerque, be it Arizona. Learning the grassroots is so important, and that's what we want to impart to you guys. Is this is how it works on our level. You can take what you learn from us and take it to your community as well. So don't think that this is all Las Cruces specific. This is Republicans throughout the entire country can learn from what we're talking about right now.
Well, and it does affect everybody too, because even like, let's say we have Yvette Harrell on, who's going to run for Congress, and you decide you're watching from Arizona or another state, Texas. We have friends all over, and you say, hey, you know what? I want to send them a few bucks. We need to support good conservative Republicans. It doesn't matter, because that's what we need. We need the representation. And every little bit helps, man. 10, 20 bucks, it buys a little sign, a bumper sticker, whatever. It's all worthwhile.
Or volunteering or walking, guys. And that's it, guys. We're going to wrap up the show here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Mr. Young, for joining us on our first show in the studio here at Oregon Mountain Studios. I think it was a great, that was a very educational piece you did there.
It was extremely educational. We got a few
You
minutes
said
left.
we still had 5 minutes. So.
Well, I was just going to say, why don't you
burn
take
it
a
up.
minute and give us your little closing statement?
Yeah, wrap it up, man.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted the Republican Party to understand for the rest of this year, our focus and our entire job, and I said this on the first time I was on the show, our job is just to get our candidates elected. And because of the loaded calendar that we've got, at least for the next 3 months, we will not be having any central committee meetings where we are actually doing a business meeting. The financials will still be done each month, and when we finally get to that, everything is forthcoming. The financials will be there, so we'll be able to see where we stand, and we're on the up and up. The integrity is there in our party, and we don't need a business meeting while we're in the middle of this calendar, trying to get everything set up the right way to support all of our candidates.
So that's totally cool, but when can we expect a CCC? And real quick, to County Central Committee, the CCC member, you can become one if you're voted in by your ward chair. And that basically, the CCC members dictate the laws or the policies and regulations that govern the local county party.
Correct.
So when could we expect a CCC meeting?
We will have CCC meetings, but they will not always be, that's why I'm saying this, they won't always be a business meeting. We want to have more meet and greets, more candidates that are actually telling us what they want to do, their platform, so to speak, why they're running, so that we can get them elected. We can put that business off, and if we have to, we'll even have a special meeting for nothing but business. We also have rules that we were writing as a county. Those aren't necessary until at least after the primary. Then we'll have a little breath maybe we can get those ironed out at that
So
time.
maybe like June-ish, maybe May,
Something,
like that.
yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
Well, thanks for all the clarification. Really appreciate it. We'll have you back to keep us updated and everything.
Yeah.
I want to thank all the Chipsters for our first show here in our new studios, Oregon Mountain Productions. I'm Alice Lara, and my Arizona friends, please watch and support us, and tell your New Mexico friends too as well. Thank you, Henry, and thank you, Zeke. I'll let you close it out, Zeke.
Yeah, again, thank you guys so much. Share this post, like this post. If you're living in Las Cruces area, living in Albuquerque, anybody, this is all information that we all can use and benefit from to save our freaking cities, save our state, save our country. Super important that you guys support us, share it, talk about it, and maybe we can have you guys on as a guest, all right? Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Hasta.
Later, guys.